Hello life coders, in this video we're going to get started on the LCBenchmark application, and I will show you how I use the app starter stack to create applications from start. So this is the folder that you get once you extract it. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to rename our file to LCBenchmark to reflect the application that we're going to be creating. When we open it up, we will see that the IDE arranges itself, opens up its various windows and arranges itself. So one of the first things we need to do is we need to close the project browser and reopen it, because there's an issue that if it's open using script, it actually is treated as a normal stack, and there are issues where you can accidentally paste into the project browser or save the project browser instead of your settings. So just make sure you do that. So if you want to change the way your code is, your IDE arranges itself, you can go to the code of stack start here, IDE rearrange, and you can change the positions of the sizes and the positions of the stack. But let's get going on our application. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the property window of our stack, and we're going to change the title to LC Benchmark. Okay. And we're going to get into the habit of saving our application frequently so that we don't lose any progress in case there are any issues. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at what our application consists of. So as it has been expressed to you in the documentation, it is super important that you know what you are building so that you can just go ahead and build it. So we will be, our application will have 6 sections or 5 sections, an about page, a benchmark page, a versus page, a results browser page, and a settings page. So let's go in here, and we're going to see that there are currently a lot of cards in the stack that make up the examples of the app starter stack. So what we're going to do is we're going to create the sections that we need. So what we are going to do is we're going to go to the blank card. We're going to open up the message box, and we're going to go clone this card. And we're going to do that 5 times. Actually 4 times, because we already have an about card and a settings card, so really we're only gonna do it 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. Now we can see that the project browser is not updating, so we're gonna go like this and reopen, and now we have these correct cards. So let's rename these to match our sections. So let's go with benchmark, and then the next one will be results browser. The next one will be well, let's see, benchmark, versus. Okay, so here it is, versus. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to move these. Actually, we're going to create one more copy of the blank card. I'll show you why. And we're going to update the project browser, and we're gonna change the name of this card to just a bunch of dashes. Okay, so now we're going to move the cards that make up our application to the top of the list, and then the example cards will be kept below this line to help us to visually understand what is part of our application and what isn't. We may want to keep the examples around in case we need any code from them or we need to look at how something works. You can delete them if you want, but this is what I do. So let's go to the properties of this. Let's go to the settings. And let's move it to, let's say, number 5 for now. Okay, so you'll see that now it has moved up. So now we will actually also create a copy of the settings card because we don't need all the sample settings that are there, but we want to keep the examples. So now we have a copy of the settings. Oh, I need to go to it. And now I make a copy of it. And now we have 2 settings cards. So I'm going to rename this one to settings examples. And we're going to move it all the way down to like the end. Okay. Let's do that again. Okay. So our settings examples, you can see, is down here. Okay, so now we need to move our benchmark card to be number 2. Actually, let's do number 3. And then we will make the results card number 4. Okay, the verses. I'm gonna move this one down. Okay. So that's all our cards that our application will have. Now let's save our work. And we can get rid of some of these. I cannot wait for the new version of the IDE where we don't have all these windows. That'll be great. But now let's go to our About page. Okay, so next what we want to do is we want to take the resources card and we want to actually move it down to be number 7 so that it is together with the rest of our cards for our application. So the resources card is a special card that contains all of the scripts and images that are used throughout your application. So we want to save our work. And now before we go to the resources page, I do usually stop messages because sometimes the LiveCode IDE crashes when you go to and fro the resources page. So I've just learned throughout my experience with this is that it's best to turn off messages. And also the card contains script behaviors and images, so we don't want to trigger any of the scripts while being on this page. So when we're on this page, we're going to import our logo for our application. Okay, just so we have it available to us. We're gonna save. And now we're going to actually start modifying our application to be what we want it to be. So let's go do that. Let's go to the About page. Let's activate messages again. And let's start by changing the logo of our application. So let's go here. Let's just go to full, logo full. There it is, LCBenchmark. And you can see that currently the file is referenced. The logo is referenced to a file, but the image contains a script that when I click on it, the image gets embedded into the file to remove the reference of the script. And then when you export the standalone to mobile, you will not have any referencing issues. So let's save. And now also, let's change some of the text here. And to do this, we don't go to the content because this gets updated using code. So we go to the custom properties, we go in here, we can expand this window, we can delete it and say welcome to LC Benchmark. So we'll leave that this way for now. And then when we leave and come back, the text gets updated. So next what we're going to do is we're going to change the this button. We're going to go and change the URL that it goes to. We're going to go to LC Benchmark. There's no such page currently, but there will be. So that's done. We're also going to change the property. We're going to go to language string and we're going to go visit LC. Oh, what happened? Okay, benchmark. So we're over here. Okay, and then when the when the card gets updated, when you leave and come back, the buttons also get updated. So let's change the color of this button, shall we? So here we'll go and actually we're gonna use this material design, and we're gonna just pick a color like red 600 or red 500. Thank you. So we're gonna go red 500. I'm showing you how to use the material design references, and this second color references the color of the text. So once again, when we leave and come back, this is updated. Next, let's update the logo that's on the image. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to get the ID of our logo. This is our logo here. I'm just looking at the resources page where we imported our logo. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the ID of our logo 4093. So we're going to go to the property inspector of our button. We're gonna go to the custom properties, and we're going to my image icon, custom property, and we're gonna go 4093, and that will change the image on our button. There we go. I don't know if it looks great or not, but maybe we'll change this later. Change the color of the button to make it work better later. Maybe we'll just do the icon only, but for now we'll leave it and we'll carry on. So let's change our background image. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just double click it. We're gonna go to you can go pick an image from anywhere where you want to. I'm gonna go to the resources folder in my LCBenchmark folder and go to backgrounds. I'm gonna pick one of these. I don't know which one will work well with our application, but the great part is we can change it whenever we want. So let's try something simple, like so. And once again, this has a file reference, and the image also has the same piece of code that lets you click it and embed the image. And see, everything's resizing correctly. Maybe we'll try a different one. Maybe we'll try this one. No, we won't. How about this one? Okay, that's not bad. But I want something that's not very dramatic. So maybe this. Okay, that's a good one. Sorry about the, there we go. Things are resizing themselves here. Okay, so let's double click and embed this image into our stack. And let's save our work. Okay, and we can also dim down the image if we want using a color overlay. So if you want the image to have a different color, sort of blackish, which is what it was, but we can go like this. Well, anyways, I'm gonna just leave it at this color. I'm quite fine with it. Maybe we'll change it later, I'm not sure. But let's continue. Let's save. Having a good habit of saving frequently can't be stressed enough. There are crashes in live code, especially not so much in standalones, but in the IDE. Okay, so what's next on our list? So let's change which card the stack goes to when it starts. So to do that, what we're gonna actually do is we're gonna go to the code. We're gonna go to the code for the app starter stack, and we're gonna do a quick search. Go to card. Maybe it's not this. Maybe this isn't where it is. Maybe it's in the start here stack. Go to card is what I'm searching for. I'm sorry, what I'm gonna do is actually I'm going to open up the App Starter Stack developer palette, and I'm going to rearrange UI windows so that everything's back to kind of an accessible state. This is why I arranged it this way, so that you have everything is like a click away, even if things are overlapping. So what I'm looking for is the code that goes to the first card. Maybe it's on the boot sequence card. Let's try searching, go to card. Okay, this is where it is. So it's in the boot complete handler on the boot card. And by the way, the boot card has no sort of interface on it. It just has a progress meter, and it's the card that shows as the stack is booting. So let's go and change this to benchmark and then save. And then now the next time we start our stack, it will go to the benchmark card, which is currently empty. Let's save. Okay, next what we're going to do is we're gonna start creating our navigation. So what we'll do is we'll use our developer palette and we're going to find a button that says create new navigation bar. So to do that, we need a list of sections. Okay, but they need to be comma delimited. So I'm gonna go like this, create my list, copy it into my clipboard, create new navigation, paste that in. Oh no, I made a mistake. Let's do that again. It's asking me for the name of the navigation bar. So let's say LC, let's call it LC bench. Okay, and then we will paste in our list of buttons that we need. And it's asking us whether to create cards. I always say no to this because I like to create them manually. I'm not even sure if that part of the code works. Oh, okay. Well, we found a bug in the plugin, and that's okay. So what we do is just skip through it, and now it's telling us that we have a bunch of code here that it generated for us that we don't have to write. So we copy that. And what we do is we go to the start here stack and we take a look at that. We're gonna move this down a bit because we want the script editor to be available. Yeah, it has resized itself for some reason, so maybe I'll just go like that. Okay. So you can find a handler called load my navbars in here, and there are no navigation bars here. So you can see there is below it is a handler called demo navigation items, and you can see that in here are these chunks of code which define this menu right here. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna paste our code in here, and the code that was generated for us has our items in it. So and the navbar name is LCBench. Okay, so what we'll do now is we're actually gonna save, and we're gonna go to a different spot on in our start here. Start here. I don't know why I don't see it. Start here stack. I guess maybe there are too many windows open. Yeah. Okay. So now it's the start here stack. So what we do to actually activate our new toolbar is we're gonna go to set navigation state, and we're gonna see that a toolbar named main is used as the left navbar. So now we're going to use LCBench as the left navbar. We're gonna hit save, and we're going to find our palette, and we're gonna go refresh stack defaults and navigation state. So things should have been updated. Now when we go to here, we have our navigation bar, but it has random icons and it has the same color. So we still have to modify our navigation bar items. So we go back to our load my nav bar, and we can start modifying these blocks to change the icon, to change the color, and then when we reset it, those changes will be reflected in our navigation. So let me just show you one more thing here. Let's go to set navigation state, and under normal, which has a left nav bar, you can see that the none navigation state has no nav bars, and the normal has a left nav bar. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to put the main demo navigation into the, actually I want to put it in the right nav bar. Okay, we're going to save, we're going to refresh the stack and navigation. Now when we go back to our stack, we have two nav bars. We have our nav bar that we made with our random icons, but the correct names, you could see that they reflect the names that we've put in, and we have the old demo nav bar. So that is actually how you create combinations of nav bars. Is you go to this handler, set navigation state in the start here stack, and this is how you do it. So I'm gonna save, I'm gonna delete the main, okay, and I'm gonna make ours the top navigation instead of the left. So I'm just gonna move it in there. Okay, save, refresh, and now it's the top. It's as easy as that. So now let's quickly modify our navbar to have better icons and to have labels. So I don't remember the difference between the definitions that have a label and that don't. So we're gonna take a look at the demo navigation items to see an example. So I think the difference is that this has a label. Let's try it. So we're gonna copy that line, and we're gonna go to load my nav bars, which is where our navigation is, and this does have a label. So I'm not sure why the labels are not showing up on our navbar, but they are on the demo navbar. But I will investigate that, and I will let you know before the video ends. But in the meantime, let's go to our navbar and start changing the icons to begin with. So we'll do the info icon, and actually what we'll do is we'll drag a SVG icon onto our canvas so we can reference the names of the icons. So I'm gonna go info, yeah, and that creates that'll be our about section for now, anyways. So SVG is defined here as icon, and then the SVG icon is defined as a preset, and then the word that is this icon preset name. So about will be info, benchmark will be, I already know the name of it, it's called dashboard, like a speed meter thing, so I like that for our dashboard. Okay, our verses, I'm not really sure what to pick, so we could create a custom one, but we're not right now. I think I want to use code as the icon, and I'll explain what the verses page is when we get to it. So now we're on a so it was code. So results browser, I want to go with list. The results browser will be a page that lets you download other people's benchmark results and view them in a sort of list. And then settings, we'll use cog, and for exit we will, you may notice I have a cough. I had COVID not too long ago, and it is still I have a leftover cough. So sign out is what we want to use. Okay, let's save our work. And go to our App Starter Stack navigation developer palette and go refresh stack defaults and navigation. And now our icons are reflected here. So we can now delete this icon because we don't need it. There you go. Okay, I now remember the difference between how to include labels in the navigation icons. So let's copy this example. The difference is here in the appearance variable that we're creating. So this just has an extra line. So it's background, it defines the color, and then it defines the color of the icon, and then it defines whether to use a label or not. So we're going to copy this, we're going to go to load my nav bar, and you can see that ours stops at the SVG color definition, and it doesn't have a label line. So if we replace this with a label afterwards, it will now use this label as its label. So let's just do that for all of them. Because I'd like to have the labels. We're just gonna quit. This is a lot easier to work with than trying to select each icon, go to the properties, and blah blah blah. This is why the App Starter Stack is code centric, where a lot of things happen in code. So let's change the labels. This one is settings. Let's just go. I'm not sure how well that will size in the icon, but that's okay. We'll find out. Okay, and then benchmark. Okay, we want to save our work and we want to refresh our navigation. Now, when we go back, you can see that the labels are there. I will teach us later how to change the how to delete that opaqueness of the label, just like in the other navigation bar, but we'll do that later. So our nav bar is coming together. I don't know if I like the labels there, but we'll leave it for now and we'll carry on. So next, what we want to do is we want to start actually, you know what, to demo another great feature of the App Starter Stack, we're just not going to use this nav bar at all. We're going to create our own custom navigation for our application, because we don't need this application to look this way. We can have it look any way we want. So we'll do that next. Okay, now we're going to start the next section by creating a custom navigation, but I just wanted to point out a habit that I have is I do incremental saves sometimes. Just after I get through a chunk, I make a copy of my file. I change the number at the end of it just to create backups just in case anything goes wrong. So let's start our application again. So in this section, we're going to create a custom navigation bar. We're gonna start off by first disabling the current one by going to set navigation state in the stack start here and just changing this to be empty. So the nav bar top is now empty. Let's start our App Starter Stack developer palette and let's refresh, and now our nav bar is gone. So to create our custom navigation, what we're going to do is we're going to first go steal actually we need to close the project browser and reopen it to save some problems that I've explained earlier. Let's go to the examples page. Let's take this button here, let's copy it, and then let's find the custom navigation group in the shared user interface group of any of our cards, or we can use the message box to start editing group custom navigation. But you need to make sure that App Starter Stack is the target stack. So let's do that. Let's paste our button. Let's now exit the editing. Okay, and let's go to our benchmark page. So now we get an error. So we can see that the error has to do with alignment. So since we copied a button onto our page, that is our hint that it has something to do with the alignment of our button. So let's go check the custom properties and go to align me, and here we see that this button is actually referencing another button for its alignment. So that button doesn't exist on this card or in that group, so we cannot use it. That's why we're getting the error. So we're gonna go and change this to top. And now when we resize our stack, it just snaps to the top. So let's save our work, and actually let's start modifying this. So let's change this to benchmark. Let's change its properties to what we need. So we're changing the SVG icon, we're changing the language string, we're going to change the size. So we have 6 buttons that need to fit on top. They're not all going to be the same size, so for now let's just put, I don't know, 20% for the size of this button. Actually, maybe let's go like 16%. Okay. Let's also go and empty the script of this button. I just want right click, edit script, and you'll see that we have a button clicked handler and then a bunch of code in between a lock screen and an unlock screen. So what we'll do is just leave the boilerplate and delete this. And now we have an empty button script. Okay. Actually, we can go to card benchmark. Boom. Okay. So now let's save our work. So we're just gonna make enough copies of this button for what we need. So we need 6 buttons, so we need to make 5 copies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and when we exit this group and we resize our stack, they're all going to snap to the same position as the other one. So there you go. So we need to obviously modify their properties to create the buttons that we want and need for our nav bar. Let's actually leave and come back. And now we can see that the actual button has updated itself with its icon and the name. So next we're gonna modify all the buttons to create our nav bar. Okay, so let's modify our buttons. So we don't need to be in group editing mode. We could just select them and move them around here. Okay, so this one is the well, they're all gonna be identical. So let's just start changing their names. Okay, and we'll change some properties. Okay. Again, I will explain what this versus page is when I get to it. So we have benchmark, about, versus. Okay, we've changed some properties to differentiate our buttons. Now we're going to, I guess we can open up our developer palette again and hit refresh stack and default navigation. And that should have updated all our buttons. So now we have these buttons to continue modifying. Okay, so we currently have their size set to 16%, and that should fit them all in a line if we make them a little bit tighter. So next we're going to work on aligning these buttons correctly. Okay, so let's continue modifying our custom navigation. Let's reopen the project browser and let's move these around some. So benchmark should be our first. The about, settings, and exit should be over here. So I think what I want to do is actually I want to delete the label for these because they're pretty self-explanatory and the labels just take up room, you know. So just gonna delete the label string. Okay, and now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start aligning these. So we don't want this button to align to the top. We want it to go to the left. Okay, and then we want this one to follow the one from the left. So we're gonna go left of me, comma, and then right of group benchmark. Group benchmark is referencing this button, and even though it's a button in the app starter stack, it's a group because it's a group of controls. So and then we're going to just copy this and paste it into here, and then change this reference to versus. So the results browser will go to the right of the versus button. Okay, and then we want to snap the exit one to the right. Okay, and then we want the right of me, comma, the left of group exit. So the right of this button settings will snap to the left of the button settings, which we are snapping to the right of the stack. So you'll see in a minute how this works out. And then we want to just copy this into the about align me property, and we want the right of the about button to snap to the left of the settings. There we go. So now when we resize our stack, it is almost working correctly, but not really, and this has a reason. Okay, so now let's arrange our buttons correctly. So this all has to do with the sequence in which these get processed when the group is resized. So right now we currently have the exit button being first, so that aligns correctly to the right, and the benchmark aligns correctly to the left, and they don't really matter much. Their sequence doesn't matter, but the sequence in between them does matter. So we are snapping the verses to here, the result browser to here, and then we're snapping the settings to the exit and the about to the settings. So we need to change the layers of this in order to process them in the correct sequence. And this same concept goes for aligning controls on our cards and pages, or you can call them. So let's do that, and we'll see the result. So we want the benchmark to be the first button, so it's layer 2 because we have a corner pin as layer 1. We want this to be second, but it's not going to be 3 because each of these groups has multiple controls in them, so it adds all of those together, so we just need to put them in sequence. So we have 2, 7, and actually we want the exit one to go second. Okay, we want the verses to go third, so that's correct. This one, result browser, to go fourth, and then this one we want to go fifth, and then this one would be sixth, and that's the correct sequence. So let's go over it again. Benchmarks first, exit is second, versus is third, result browser is fourth, this is fifth, and then that's sixth. Okay, so let's exit the editing, group editing. Let's save. There we go. I don't know why the hotkey didn't work, but that's okay. And let's see. Let's resize and see what happens. Ooh, it's not working. And I know the reason why. It's because earlier we made a navigation bar that has buttons that have the same name as this. So I betcha that the Lifecode Engine is referencing our old navigation bar, which is now invisible. That's why we have strange behavior. So how do we fix this? It's super easy. We need to change the references and add of the owner of me to the back of it so that it references this group. So it references button X of this group and doesn't reference our old navigation bar. So if we add this to each one, it's going to work. Okay, just making sure that they're updating. Okay, so let's go. Yes, and now they're correctly aligning to each other. So let's make these smaller. Let's make these 12%. So 0.12 comma percent defines 12%. And you can obviously do whatever you need to do. Here we go. So now these are smaller, now we have more room for these. Okay, let's save our work again and move on to the next part. Okay, let's wrap this session up by changing the code of our buttons to go to the correct pages. So I'm just going to edit the script of each one and just simply change the destination card. Results browser. And the proper code for quitting, I have to go find it. So just bear with me for 1 second. Let's go to navigation icons. These are hidden. I'm just looking for the exit button. Oh, so it's just the word quit. Okie doke. Quits. Okay, and we don't need to lock screen. Okay, there we go. And now we can navigate between them, and you can see that the card that we're on has a different color. So in the next session, we're going to, I don't know what happened there, but I think there's some kind of referencing that's going on here that is strange, but we'll fix that. Settings. Okay, so in the next session, we're actually gonna start adding controls to our actual application and start making the meat and potatoes or vegetables and potatoes, which are vegetables. Okay, this metaphors going off the rails. So I think we're gonna end this session here. I hope you learned some things, and see you at the next one. Feel free to message me with your questions, and the next one is next Friday. So within 4 weeks, this application will be done. And actually, 3 weeks from now, this application will be done. So I look forward to the next session and watching this application unfold. And I hope you enjoyed this first try at creating the LC Benchmark application. So farewell. See you all next week.